Well, we are fortunate. Both of us are national organizations. Red Cross is 40% of the U.S. blood supply, and we're collecting in many, many, many markets. But having that scope and span allows us to immediately transport to where they're needed. If there is a disaster zone, say a hurricane or a tornadoes, like in the Midwest, we know that they're not collecting blood in those markets at that time, and those patients are still coming in for routine and emergency situations as well as trauma. But now you've displaced all the donors that are giving in that market. Being a national footprint, we are able to move those units into those areas nearly immediately. When 1 October happened, we used the 650 units we had in town and dispersed those to all area hospitals, and then brought in another 450 units basically overnight to supplement what the hospitals were needing on demand just for that. That's aside from our routine deliveries of those. So having that footprint enables us to distribute when it's needed.
And how about Vitalin? Is it the same? Any restrictions on transport?
No restrictions, and it's much the same. We saw fires in California, and that's affecting and closing down blood centers and affecting and closing down entire towns. So you're displacing people, but now I have people who've been burned. I need to get plasma there. I need to get platelets there, red cells. We work together to determine where's the best place for us to move that from. And again, we could just talk a normal Tuesday. I have a higher need of 12 platelets here. I've got to figure out where those are coming from. So consistently, it's constant conversations with contacts at hospitals to determine what do they need. So again, they're not sitting there just with empty shelves waiting to call us. They have a supply there on hand, and they know generally what they expect to be seeing that day. But then there will be something, and it's not going to be something huge. It may not be October 1st, but it's going to be a trauma situation that's going to be 4 people show up and there's going to be a higher need. They're immediately contacting us. We're taking care of that. But if there is a shortage of something or there's a rare unit needed, both of us work and we work together to make sure if there's anything needed for a patient who has a rare need, we're actually looking out where can we find that? And it may not be with Vitalin, it may not be with Red Cross. We're reaching out to other blood banks in an effort to find that rare unit.
We have a very large reference library of types that are incredibly rare that we can reference and find people that will meet those very rigorous requirements for certain patients.
And what kind of platform are you using for that? Is there a blood database where you can pull?
There is a blood database, and there's a laboratory that we have that we send our blood to. It's typed, it's cataloged, and kept for those emergency situations.
And Jeff, back to the technology question again, hospital to hospital, how are we communicating on what needs are?
Yeah, I mean, so from us, we're talking to the blood bank directly about, okay, this is what we see coming, this is our surgery schedule, this is what we see changing or we see looking like, or we may have a new patient or other kinds of patients in the hospital that may increase blood needs. So while I talked about technologies that reduce our demand, there are new technologies like the artificial lung and heart pumps that increase our demand. They'll save your life, but they make us use a lot more blood. We have to be reaching out to our blood bank as soon as we identify a patient that we think may go on the technology to say, hey, listen, we're going to have a bump in demand. This is what's going to happen. It's going to be more platelets. And so we'll do that. The systems across will speak with each other. So for Sunrise, Southern Hills, and Mountain View hospitals are kind of part of our healthcare system. We'll talk to them about what we can do internally. Valley does the same thing. St. Rose's do that. And we all talk to each other, especially on traumatic nights through the trauma network about, okay, this is where we are, who's seeing what, where is it, what do we need to move? I just had a bus accident. Can you help us out here?
And we're a distribution point as well in Las Vegas for blood. So we're on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have a team there waiting to hear from hospitals that need specific units of blood in specific quantities dispatched on the spot.